Something very important happened on December 1st of 2025 that almost everyone missed. The Federal Reserve quietly decided to end what they call quantitative tightening. While the world was distracted by headlines and politics, the engineers of our money changed the rules. This single decision is going to reshape how your money works for the next several years. It affects the interest in your savings account and the rate on your mortgage. It affects the price of every single item you put in your grocery cart. Back in 2020, they pulled a very similar move and many people got absolutely crushed. They did not lose because they were lazy or made mistakes in their work. They lost because the system is designed to reward those who understand the secret rules of the game. In this video, I will break down exactly what the Federal Reserve just did behind closed doors. I will show you why it matters to your actual wallet and your long-term retirement plans. You must realize that the Federal Reserve does not work for you or your family. They do not exist to protect your purchasing power or your personal wealth. They work for the system and the survival of the big banks. When the economy looks shaky, they flood the world with new money to keep it moving. When inflation gets out of control, they try to suck that money back out of the system. For the past 3 years, they have been deleting money from existence to fight rising prices. They called this quantitative tightening, and it made life very difficult for regular people. But now they have hit the pause button, and the direction of the wind is changing. Think of the entire global economy like a giant bathtub filled with water. The Federal Reserve is the one who controls the faucet and the drain. When they want growth, they turn the faucet on and let the money pour in. This causes interest rates to drop and makes borrowing very cheap for everyone. New money flows into the system and the stock market begins to climb higher. Everyone feels much richer on paper as their account balances start to grow. But if you leave that faucet running for too long, the bathtub starts to overflow. That overflow is what we call inflation, and it acts like a hidden tax on your life. Your groceries cost more and your gas prices spike, and your rent goes up every year. The money in your savings account buys less stuff, even though the number stays the same. To stop the flooding, the Federal Reserve tries to drain the tub. That is what they have been doing since early 2022 to cool the economy. But on December 1st, they announced they are done draining the tub. The official reason they gave is that inflation has cooled from 9% down to 3%. They want you to believe that the mission is accomplished and everything is fine. But there are secret reasons for this sudden shift that they are not telling you. First, the bank reserves were getting dangerously low in the plumbing of the system. The amount of actual cash in the banking system was hitting a red line that scared them. If the banks run out of reserves, the entire financial heart of the country could stop beating. The second reason is that the job market is finally starting to crack under the pressure. Unemployment is creeping up, and large companies are stopping their hiring process. The Federal Reserve knows that if they keep money tight, things will get much worse, very fast. So they are backing off right now to prevent a total collapse of the system. But you must understand that stopping the drain does not mean the water stays still. Just 10 days later, they announced a new program called Reserve Management Purchases. In plain English, they are going to start buying treasury bills from the banks again. They claim this is not the same as printing money, but it has the exact same effect. It is like saying, I am not eating dessert, I am just having a sweet treat after dinner. You can call it whatever you want, but you are still eating the cake and gaining the weight. They are pumping liquidity back into the banks to keep the gears turning. This is the start of a silent reset that will devalue the dollar in your pocket. In early 2020, the Federal Reserve printed nearly $5 trillion in a very short time. The stock market recovered fast, and housing prices shot through the roof across the country. But the benefits of all that new money were not distributed equally to the people. If you already owned assets like stocks and real estate, you got very wealthy. If you only had cash savings, you got crushed by the weight of rising prices. The system created a massive wall between the owners and the workers. In 2021, house prices increased by 13% in a single year. The next year, they went up another 18% in many markets. Inflation went from basically 0 to 9% almost overnight. Your rent went up and your groceries doubled in price while your wages stayed the same. This created a K-shaped recovery where the rich get richer and everyone else falls behind. This is not a conspiracy, but a predictable outcome of how our money is managed. When the Federal Reserve pumps money into the economy, asset prices always go up first. But your wages are very slow to catch up to the new reality of higher prices. By the time you get a small raise, the cost of living has already run away from you. The Federal Reserve knows this happens, but their only job is to stabilize the system. They care about the big banks and the financial markets more than your grocery bill. Now they are getting ready to open the faucet wide once again. The entire global financial system is now addicted to cheap and easy money. The second they try to tighten the rules, everything starts to break and panic sets in. So they loosen the rules and allow inflation to creep back into your life. And every time they do this, the people who do not own assets get poorer and poorer. If you have $50,000 in a savings account, you might earn 3% interest. But if inflation goes back up to 5%, your money is losing value every second. You are earning $1,500, but losing $2,500 in purchasing power. You are working hard just to move backward and lose your hard-earned wealth. Meanwhile, someone in the stock market is seeing 7 to 10% returns on their money. That is the fundamental difference between building wealth and falling into poverty. One person is building a future while the other is slowly losing their freedom. The political landscape is also changing as we move toward 2026. Jerome Powell has a term that ends in May of that year, and the pressure is mounting. Political leaders want interest rates to be cut aggressively to make the economy look strong. Low rates make the stock market look good, but they cause more inflation for you. This means more money printing and more asset price inflation is on the horizon. We are entering a window of time where the rules are shifting once again. First, you must realize that inflation is probably coming back sooner than you think. Second, you must accept that your savings account is going to lose value even faster. Third, you must understand that if you are not invested in assets, you will fall further behind. The Federal Reserve is not your friend, and they are not looking out for you. They want asset prices to go up to keep the big banks and the government stable. This is great news if you own those assets and terrible news if you do not. You need to start moving your money out of dying cash and into productive assets. The goal is to own things that grow faster than the rate of inflation every year. For most regular people, that means low-cost index funds that hold the largest companies. Matching the market means 7 to 10% returns over a long period of time. The alternative is to watch your purchasing power disappear year after year until it is gone. History shows that if you hold your investments for the long term, you will be fine. The S&P 500 has never had a negative 20-year return in history. The strategy is simple, but it requires discipline and a change in your mindset. Spend less than you earn and invest the difference every single month without fail. Most people do not do this because they think saving cash in a bank is the safe choice. Think about a man named Dave who is 42 years old and very responsible. He saved $60,000 in a bank account and felt like he was doing the right thing. But in the last few years, his rent went up 30% and his groceries doubled. Dave is getting poorer every year and he does not even realize what is happening. He is running as fast as he can, but the treadmill is moving faster than him. Meanwhile, his co-worker Sarah invested her $60,000 in a simple index fund. Her account is now worth $90,000 because she understood the secret rules. She did not work harder than Dave, but her money worked much harder for her. You do not need to be wealthy or a genius to start changing your life today. You can open an account with only $10 on almost any modern platform. The only thing stopping you is a lack of knowledge and the fear of the unknown. In the next 18 months, I expect the Federal Reserve to keep cutting interest rates. They will expand their purchase programs and give them boring and technical names. Asset prices will go up, and inflation will likely creep back toward 5%. Their mandate is stability for the financial markets, not fairness for you or your family. Imagine you are 35 years old with $10,000 to start with. In a savings account at 3%, you get $24,000 in 30 years. But in an index fund at 8%, you get over $100,000 in that same time. That is the difference between a struggle and a life of true freedom and options. The system is rigged against the saver, but it is rigged in a very predictable way. You cannot change what the Federal Reserve does, but you can change your own behavior. Stop treating cash like it is a safe place to hide your wealth from the world. Start treating it like the depreciating asset that it actually is in today's world. Time in the market always beats trying to time the market with lucky guesses. I am telling you to buy a low-cost index fund and hold it for as long as possible. The tools to do this are available to everyone who is willing to look and learn. Hope is not a financial strategy, and saving cash is not a plan for your future. The only strategy that works in this system is to own productive assets. If you do not own them, you will watch your power erode for another decade or more. The gap between the rich and the rest of the world is getting wider every day. The Federal Reserve is opening the faucet and the water is about to pour once again. You must decide right now if you are going to be washed away or if you will catch the flow. Do not wait for the news to tell you what to do because they are part of the system too. Take control of your financial life before the next wave of inflation hits your door. Your future self will thank you for the courage you show today. The game is changing, and now you know the rules. Make sure you have a way to catch the water before the tub overflows again.